When you're deciding to live in a new location, sometimes we need some justification to give us the answers on if we are making the right decision. And luckily for you, I'm gonna give you my top 5 reasons to live in Tacoma, Washington. And this is exactly why I chose to move here myself. My name is George Rodriguez with eXp Realty, and allow me a few moments a day to be a realtor. You find yourself in the midst of confusion, and it led you here to these answers I'm going to give you today. Now, I'm going to be your shrink, your realtor, and if you're looking to buy or sell real estate here in the area, don't be shy. Contact information is down below, and of course, let's schedule a call and do something face-to-face, because hey, we all like breaking the ice when you can match a face with the voice, huh? My first reason for Tacoma is going to be the location and where you're going to be. When you're living in Tacoma, you're going to be in the middle of Pierce County with the ability to get to I-5 and 512. With I-5, you're able to travel to Seattle and Bellevue. With 512, you're able to go down to Spanaway and Puyallup with an easy breeze, whereas the other locations in the area aren't going to have that same type of ability. So having Tacoma as an option for geographic location is going to make your life so much easier. Now, with this easier lifestyle, you're going to have the ability to actually commute further for work. So you can work further up north in Seattle or even further south if your work is taking you that way. Now, with Tacoma, depending on which location, for example, if you're living on the east side of Tacoma, you can actually cut traffic in the morning by taking the Portland Avenue on to I-5. Whereas if you're living on the other parts of Tacoma, you're unfortunately going to be stuck behind that traffic that gets backed up in the mornings. So Tacoma does have the ability to actually give you a shorter commute to your work. Now, that's going to be up to you if this is one of the reasons that are going to justify you living in Tacoma. The second reason is going to be the affordability of Tacoma. I know for a lot of people that live in the area, they're like, yo, this whole place is expensive. But for those that are coming in, Tacoma is going to be one of the more affordable areas here in Washington State for Pierce and King County if you're going to be living in the western part of Washington. With this affordability does come the opportunity to purchase some real estate. Now, with the cheaper real estate, you're gonna have to pay very good attention to the location in which Tacoma that you're going to be living in, because when it does come to the affordability factor, you have to pay attention to the neighborhoods that you're going to be living in. Now, for the real estate choices when it comes to Tacoma, you're gonna have a lot of the older style properties that do come with purchasing, but also you need to pay attention that there's not much new construction here in Tacoma. So when there is new construction, you have to pay attention and understand that that's gonna be one of the higher price points that are gonna be available here in the area. But the opportunity to purchase is very well and prevalent in comparison to the neighbors that you're going to be actually looking to purchase in. So strike one for Tacoma for affordability. The third reason is going to be the weather associated with living in Tacoma. Now, of course, this is kind of cheating because basically everyone in this side of the state is going to be sharing the same thing. But hey, this is why I say it, because global warming is a very real thing. Now, if you thought it was fake, this is why I say it. Everyone here that's been living in Washington the last, let's say 10, 15 years, the summers have been lasting a little bit longer and have been getting warmer. So it's a beautiful thing because we're used to rain for quite some time. Now, of course, the rain's not going anywhere, but when it does come to our area and what to expect, the good portion of the beginning of the year, you're getting a lot of rain. So make sure you bring your umbrella, or you run to your car and back home or to the store, wherever you're going. Most people here are going to Starbucks or Target. Yeah, very, very basic. Now, when it comes to the spring and summer months, we are now looking around 80 to 90 degree weather for the large majority of that portion. So it's a beautiful thing. And if you don't have an AC unit here in this area during these spring months, or excuse me, these summer months, those units will be resold. So make sure your house either has AC or you bought your unit maybe like on offer up something before they decide to jack up the price on you. Yeah, it's a real thing here. Fast forward to fall, sweater weather is the best time of the year because you can wear anything you want. You get the hot coffee, you got your beanie, you layer it up. It's a nice thing to be a local when, fall's here in the area. Then we're going over to winter. Snow really doesn't happen here very often, but when it does, people love to, to show off a little bit. They bring the little 4Runners and little Jeeps, yada, yada. But most people can't drive when that happens. So you need to be very aware and cautious when you're deciding to drive in the winter because people just don't know what they're doing. But I feel like that's anywhere with crazy weather, The weather overall in this area isn't very drastic, so you're going to learn to love it because when the spring and summer comes, that's what separates Washington from a lot of other states. And that's why this is going to be one of my top reasons for Tacoma. The fourth reason is going to be the recreation that you have by living in Tacoma. Now, you're going to be in the second largest city in the state of Washington, believe it or not. But with that second largest city, you have the amenities of it. Now, with Tacoma, you're going to have a few museums that you can go ahead and enjoy. You have the Museum of Glass, the Tacoma Art Museum, and the America's Car Museum if you have that need for speed. So you go ahead and look at some good cars while you're here in the area. Now, if you need some fresh water in your life, you can go to Ruston Way and have Commencement Bay at your fingertips. When you're in Ruston, you can go ahead and walk the waterfront, walk your four-legged friend, and also take those little motorized scooters that they have up there and go up and down to your heart's content. When you're living in Ruston or even up near the north end of Tacoma, you have those new high-rise condos, the new restaurants. You can go ahead and you crack open some lobster, and you can go and look over, and you got Commencement Bay with Mount Rainier staring at you. It's a beautiful scene for a dinner, ain't it? So that's gonna be another pro of living in Tacoma with the recreation recreation that comes of it. But when you're in the Pacific Northwest, you have a ton of mountains, trails to go ahead and enjoy. The views that you have when you live in Pacific Northwest by those trails and seeing the mountains, it's what separates everyone from us. So that's gonna be your next pro for living in Tacoma. The next reason is going to be the cost of living associated with living in Tacoma. Now, of course, early in the video, we did speak about the cost of real estate, but when you are comparing it to Seattle, living in Tacoma is gonna be 22% cheaper in comparison if you were living in Seattle. Now, of course, if you want a better breakdown of the cost of living in Seattle, you can go ahead and click this link above as I break down Seattle to the T, or in that case, to the E, because that's the last letter in Seattle. You get that? Now, for those that have been living in the area for quite some time, for example, those who have been living in Tacoma, the last 10 to 20 years, of course, things have changed. Now, if you're comparing it to Washington overall, the cost of living associated with living here in Tacoma is the major reason why a lot of individuals living in King County have decided to migrate down to Tacoma, because it's just so much cheaper to live here instead. We're gonna go over this website by Forbes. It's gonna be a cost of living calculator. It's an absolute gem. The real estate portion is kind of dated. I think it's from 2021 to 22. So just ignore that portion, but the rest, gem. Now, your pre-tax household income we're gonna start with is going to be $100,000. You're starting in Seattle, coming to Tacoma. Your cost of living is going to be 22% cheaper if you live in Tacoma. The transportation tends to be 3% lower. The homes tend to cost 36% lower, and your utilities tend to cost 7% lower. Now, of course, like I said, the housing cost is going to be a little bit off in my personal opinion, because the average median sale price in Tacoma is going to be in the high fours to low, I'll say high fours, and Seattle is a little lower than that. So you can go ahead and go past that. But what I do like to pay attention to is going to be the apartment rent. Now, if you're looking in Seattle, $3,088 the median, and then in Tacoma, $2,143 for your median. Of course, for some people, it's going to be still expensive, but honestly, there is so much money here in Tacoma that it really tends to justify why people are charging as much as they are. Now, when we go down to transportation, it's going to be 3% lower in comparison, like we said. For gasoline, it's 4.75 to 4.3. It is very true. When you go further up north, gas tends to cost a ton. It's despicable. But that's why you go to the Indian reservations, because their gas is cheaper. Or Costco. Costco has cheap gas too. That's a little hint. Get that membership. I'm not sponsored. Healthcare is also 2% lower here in the area. You can go ahead and take a good gander in terms of the doctor visit, dentist, optometrist, prescription drugs, and ibuprofen. Now, of course, this is all going to be dependent on your insurance as well. But of course, having this information here does not hurt at all. And of course, here's the miscellaneous goods and services. It says 9% cheaper in terms of whole milk, bread, coffee, and shampoo. But of course, coffee here is expensive regardless where you go, because this is the land of coffee and coffee beans. There you have it. This is gonna be one of the reasons for cost of living here in Tacoma. These are gonna be my top 5 reasons why I inevitably chose Tacoma. When you're living here in the state of Washington, there is a ton of money to be made here, and that's why things are so expensive in this state. It's not for no reason why things are as high as they are. It's because there's a lot of money to be made, and is being made here in Tacoma and also Washington state overall. So that economic advantage is there, and if I missed anything, please let me know in the comments down below, and I can add that to the next video, and also give you a shout out for your hard work and efforts of doing just that. Again, my name is George Rodriguez with eXp Realty, and you have a good day.